What's up, everybody? Rashad, what's up, buddy? What's up, Pam? Bob is in the house. And my friend, what's his name? Our guest. We have a guest. What?
It's Phil McKay.
Bill.
Phil.
We have a Bill.
Phil.
Phil.
Phil with an F.
Phil, is that Phil with a D? Is the D silent?
Fill her up.
We're here, man. We're in Tribeca. We're here for part 2 with our guest, Mike Hinrichs, a retired homicide, first grade homicide sergeant, winner of 2 medal.
Detective. You keep promoting them or demoting them.
I'll take it.
A retired
Let the
first
pension
grade
section know.
homicide detective. He has 2 medals of valor. He was great on the first half. We have many more stories. I'm Mark DeMail. That's Bill Cannon, my partner in all things law enforcement. And here we go. You ready to rock, Bill?
Cross, right?
2 combat crosses he had.
2 and 2, yes.
Wait. You said before, now it's growing, this thing. I'm just kidding.
Get legs.
You said 50 EPDs equals a combat cross.
So you got 2 medals of valor and 2 combat crosses.
Yes.
And we were joking around a little bit about in the first episode about how many shootings were you in, but you're definitely up there, man. Is it 5?
On paper?
Yeah.
That were reported. How many unreported shootings?
5 or 6. Depending on what your definition of a shooting is. Where you shot at, or did you shoot somebody, or stuff like that. Yeah.
All right. So Bill had a story that he wanted to, a case that he wanted to go. What was it, Ramona?
The Ramona Moore case, which was featured on NYPD 24/7, which came out in what, 2003? Was it?
Now that NYPD 24/7, we had a past guest that was on that show, didn't we?
Yeah, Vic Hollyfield.
Yeah,
was on that.
He made the remark
yeah.
about the FDNY
Yeah.
that got him in a whole bunch of grief, and letters of apologies had to be written.
You don't have anything bad to say about the FDNY, do
No,
you?
they're great guys.
What was your episode there on? It was the show was on what, ABC?
ABC, yeah.
And it was called NYPD 24/7. Was
Right.
it 2013 or something?
2003,
No.
I think it
No,
came
2000. Oh, that long ago?
out. Yeah.
Okay.
Could be.
And they followed you around for what, 6 months or a year?
Yeah, they were in our office for maybe 6 months to 9 months at least.
Did you make them buy you drinks?
How was that?
No, they didn't buy anything.
Oh,
we had to buy
man.
them stuff.
How was it? How was it like when a film crew moves into your squad room?
It's unnerving. It's just that it's like, it's your private place. It's where the guys are, and everybody's got their own business.
How long did it
whatever.
take to get used to it and to find out who the hams are?
Because
Because a couple of guys pretending like they weren't going to be into it, but once the cameras started coming through every day,
once it got rolling and everybody they loved it. It was just that I don't know how to say it. It was
People
just a
act
little
differently
bit,
sometimes, right?
right?
When the
You act
cameras are
differently. You
around.
start to play to the camera. You're wondering, I can't say this, I can't do this. And not only police stuff, but just the shenanigans that go on in the squad room.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
hot foots. There's no
mention of
stuff like
the
that.
second locker with all your going out clothes in it, right?
No, none of that stuff can come up. Everything is.
Gotta hide that bottle of Wilson's in your desk drawer. That's shitty whiskey, though, isn't it?
Wilson?
Cops ever drink that anymore?
Evan Williams is like a bootleg version of Jack Daniels. If you wanted to get I don't know where you're the one.
I don't drink whiskey anyway.
Evan Williams is good. Don't get me wrong.
Homework in church. That's me.
What'd you say?
Homework in church.
That's it. You don't touch this stuff, huh?
And gun clubs. He's got to practice.
So tell us about this case.
The case started out. It was a missing person case that the 6-7 squad caught. A young college girl went out and never came home.
The reason why I did it is not, you
hit
got
the
nice hands, by the way,
tables
but people started hitting the table and it comes through in the headphones.
Okay. Sorry.
So we keep the. I tell that to all our guests. Don't
You
feel
thought he was John Candy in that movie, Playing Trains and Automobiles, when he was playing the piano on the dashboard.
Oh yeah. Right before the car goes on fire.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So what? Tell us.
So the girl goes missing, and how we get involved. I'm in the homicide squad at that time. How we get involved is that they get a report. The squad gets a report, or patrol gets a report that they find a dead girl in an abandoned house on Kings Highway, and we respond with the 6-7 squad, and we learn that, after, speaking to everybody and getting some stuff together, we realize it's the girl that went missing. It's hard to describe the case because it's going to go back and forth. But prior to this, there was a young girl who was walking home from Tilden High School and got snatched off the street by a couple guys, brought to a house around the corner from where we found the dead body, and she was raped and tied up and abused there, and she was able to break free and run home, and Special Victims had the case and picked her up and took her around, and she pointed to the house and where it happened, and it was a house on Snyder Avenue, like I said, around the corner, and she identifies one of the subjects who pulls out a gun and takes himself hostage, and stuff like that.
Oh, what happened? He took himself hostage?
Yeah, don't move or I'll shoot myself type thing, and
That's pretty funny.
So anyhow, we wound up arrested.
That could have been shooting 7 for you.
Whatever you do, stop.
So that's. So, like I said, backtracking to that, now these guys, this girl got raped around the corner by these two guys. One's in a can, one's in Rikers, the other one's in the wind. But now they're looming as suspects because of the proximity and what happened. And we learn later on that they are the perps. We wind up getting information from... one source that really puts it together is some all-star from the neighborhood that lived around the corner. Actually, he used to live around the corner, comes up for the weekend and goes back to Maryland and tells one of his buddies in Maryland, hey, I was up in Brooklyn the other night. These guys, friends of mine, they had a girl in there. They tied her up and beating her and raping her. It was this, that. Listen, they wanted me to get involved, but I said no. And the guy he tells this to is like, what, are you kidding me? Did you tell the police? No, I didn't tell them. So that guy calls the police, and eventually we get the information and go scoop this guy up and bring him back, and he tells us what was going on. And then we go into the house with warrants and all that, and really go through the house and find out what happened to this poor girl. It was the most brutal thing I've ever seen in my life. What they did to this girl and how it was described, and I tell you, it was really, really horrible.
That's one of those cases that stays with you forever.
Yeah. I mean, and this girl was just a regular, girl just doing the thing. She went to college and then went to the store one day, and these two guys grabbed her and did horrible things to her, and she suffered for a few days. It was really, really terrible. But the only good thing, and I say good case, there's never really a good case. Like I said, everybody forgets, we say, oh, that was a great case, but you know what, there's a dead person that started it, and this was a good girl that really didn't deserve any of this stuff. But we were able to get the other perpetrator. He was up in Yonkers, but we chased him all around. He was up in Albany, Georgia, and all that. We were able to get him in Yonkers, and those guys went to jail. I mean, for whatever that's worth, it's great to put a case together, give the family some closure, but you're never going to bring the victim back.
No, absolutely not.
And it was really a horrible thing. And thank God the other girl was able to escape. And thank God that the light bulb went off in somebody's head. Like I said, the guy in Maryland.
So there was a girl that was raped and killed first.
Right.
And then the second girl is the one that escapes.
Yes.
And the second girl is Ramona?
No,
the first
second girl's another
okay.
girl from the neighborhood.
So she winds up escaping, and
right.
she
and who knows? I mean, God forbid, could have went on again. Who knows? They were going to kill her. She didn't escape. And who knows if they would have did it again?
What kind of guy? What kind of priors did these guys have? Were they? I mean, how do you escalate to that? Were they already? Did they do prison time already? These
no,
two?
they were young guys. They were off the radar. No, like wow, you could see a guy's sheet and say, wow, he's building up to something like this, some sort of dangerous predator. But these two guys, got together and this was their thing. It was very unusual, have cases like that. I can't remember another one.
Especially when you put two people that are probably gonna on their own path to doing horrible things, and then you put them together.
Yeah, no, it's not good, and I don't know what to say. It was just a real.
Did he take it to trial, that one guy?
Yeah, And then after he tried to kill his lawyer and jumped up in court and stuff, he got a new one. And they got convicted. You know, they're still up top.
What they get? They get bailed.
No, not that I've heard.
It's
but,
not. It's not. Fast forward to
Not
now.
yet.
Yeah,
They let him
no.
out on bail.
Yeah, you did enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough. You know, I mean, that's the thing. Time heals all wounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That was a savage case, man. I could, when I watched NYPD 24/7, you could really get the feel. I used to teach at a college, and I showed it to my class, and they were all like, "Oh my god!"
So this was the case that was on 24/7.
yeah,
right?
and like I said, when we did the warrant in the house, and you saw what everything from
Blood spatter,
saws
yeah.
and nails and hammers and clamps and all types of stuff. God, it was a horrible thing to see, and it was really, really off the hook.
Wow.
So.
And Bob mentioned earlier during the break he was interested in the stories about the flying.
Right.
Something you got confused with the terrorist, right?
Yeah, well, that's actually this case. We had been at the Albany looking for the one perp, and he wasn't there, but had got a line that he might be down in Atlanta.
Oh, is this another homicide?
No, it's the same
Same
case.
case.
Same
Oh,
case.
okay.
So we fly down to Atlanta and do our thing down there, and he's not there either. So we're heading back, and we're at the airport now. When you're carrying guns and you're traveling on planes, there's paperwork you do.
Flying while armed.
Correct. And, Port Authority police or the local, whatever airport you're at, and, they'll escort you on the plane and check your credentials and all that stuff. But at this one time, we're getting on the plane now, and if there's anybody else on the plane armed, they'll let you know. The pilot will let you know. Or some personnel say, listen, there's an FBI agent or an air marshal here or whatever. So, so we get the speech, and this time it's... there's by the way, there's 3 Middle Eastern nationals on the plane. Mm-hmm. They met in Atlanta last night. We've been trailing them from Ohio here, there. They bought one-way ticket, cash, and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, I'm standing there, I'm nodding, my jaw's dropping. I'm like, all right, what are we gonna, what do you want? You need a hand dragging them off the plane?
What's the tack plan?
Yeah, you need a hand dragging them off the plane. Oh no, we're just gonna just sit tight.
Observe.
One's here, one's there. I'm here, he's there, and whatever. And if anything happens, just lay low. Like lay low. This
We'll
is
let you
crazy.
know when we need you.
The federal marshal.
I'm
said
like,
this
listen,
to
I
you?
thought I could maybe close my eyes for 2 hours and take a flight back, but now
Not
I'm
anymore.
staring at every passenger walking by. What is this the guy? Is this the guy? And I'm like, who does? How do you operate like that? How do you let people get on a plane? There's 300 people on the plane. It's a big flight and all that. And we wound up landing at Kennedy, and Port Authority issue showed up and dragged these guys off the plane. I'm like, well, thank God it didn't blow up, and it was just an amazing thing. And that was shortly after 9/11. I mean, because everything with air travel was lax before that. I mean, I flew on planes with 10 pounds of weed and 3 guns in a duffel bag, and nobody even asked.
Yeah, me too. But I was in the cop then.
Got me on that one. But yeah, no, it was unnerving. I'm like, this, you can't operate like this, man. But
Lack security, right?
yeah, that's it. It's like anything else. Your number comes up, you're getting searched. Why would you apply common sense to any of that stuff? Or suspicion.
What's annoying is that they wait right before the plane's going to board before they start doing these searches or they continue them. It's like, get all that stuff out of the way. If you got somebody that's on that list, get them in. Because I remember waiting at, I think we were coming home, so it wouldn't have been that bad. But still, you're waiting at the airport for your guest, the person you're traveling with, because they got picked.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? They're already boarding.
They always pick ex-cops, the TSA. They go,
Well, they didn't pick me. My
you look
traveling.
like a cop. Let me give you the extra search procedure.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. I had gotten that too. I would travel on a plane and, whatever seats, 28A and 28B, step off the line and, we got to search you. We were just checked in with law enforcement. Yeah, but we got to look. For what? You know, I told him. I said, I'm carrying 2 guns. I got a vest and handcuffs and rounds in my bag, and you know, we're already. We still have to check. You know, so my bag is spread out from one end of the table to the other, and it's like it's ridiculous. You know, what about that guy with the that just left the duffel bag and walked away?
Yeah,
Let me ask him where he's going.
What about the nationalist?
Yeah.
With the cocaine
I'll get
dripping
into-
out of the bag.
Yeah, the guy who's the German Shepherd.
What about the 3 terrorists that we're going to let on the plane? Are we stopping
Yeah.
them right now?
No. So that's that. But
Hey, I don't care for the random searches. I have no problem with. Come over here.
well, I mean, it's just it's common sense. It's it's common
They don't
sense.
have common sense.
No, I mean that's how it's done. From what I understand in other countries, they if you're with your wife and children, you're going to Disney World. You really don't need to be strip searched. You know what I mean? Once you can prove who you are and where you're going, it's just a simple question. Hello, sir. Where do you live? Where you going? Oh, there's a guy in a wheelchair I saw one time. He's got the D-Day survivor hat and the whole thing, and they're actually lifting him off the wheelchair to search the guy because his number came up. I mean,
Yeah.
who does that? It's just.
Makes
You
no
say
sense.
that, and then I just saw a picture of somebody that they had taped something. I forget what it was across their chest. It wasn't explosives. I don't think it was a firearm. I forget what it was, but it wasn't supposed to be on a plane. And this is like, it was heroin, and it was somebody with a baby. So you say that, and there's always that they don't they think just the same way we do. It's like why would you check that person? And then it's the person coming in with the baby, and I think it was the baby was strapped with heroin. You could never think of it. And there was a picture of it on.
No, I know.
So
Did the baby get collared?
yeah, the baby's doing 2.
Baby's doing 2 to 5.
2 to 10 right now.
Wow. Pretty good.
Yeah, on time for high school. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting with that 24/7 having the just everybody filming all the time, and now you're part of this. You're part of a reality show, and then
it came out pretty good. I thought finished product. And I think it showed what we do. Detectives. Working cases and how I go about it and how much it really the toll it takes on you and stuff like that, and dealing with victims' families and other issues.
It's great. It's great, especially so you have something to show your spouse. You see, this is what I do. They really think that.
It's the whole also lifestyle of living the detective or the homicide squad lifestyle where you never sleep. How much sleep do you get per month? You're always working, right? You're living at the precinct, right? You're staying overnight.
Well,
You're going
especially
to
like
court.
Brooklyn South. You could be in a homicide somewhere else. And
Manhattan North was rocking too, back in the day. And, the thing is, you were either in court or you're going, you work rocking around the clock. You're living at work. You always have to make sure you have clothes, right? No, I don't think people understand the lifestyle you live when you do this type of work.
No, I mean, we always go in on our first one. You take, our chart was 2 nights, 2 days, and you're off for 2. So when you went in for your first four by, you bought clothes for the week.
Right.
And that was it. You throw on a couple of extra shirts, you hung them in your locker, and you really didn't go home quite a bit. You didn't sleep. If you got an hour's sleep on a chair or sitting in a squad, it was like the things, and it kills you. It almost
did you
killed
like
me.
that chart, that 4 and 2? It's 2 nights and then 2 days.
No, I didn't like it.
How about for work? Did you think it was the best way for you guys to work? I know you got used to it, but I did it in the squad. I didn't like that chart.
No, I didn't like it. I mean, it was good for if you're a precinct detective squad guy and you're handling everything from murders to lost cats or whatever they do now. It's good because it's a quick week, guys. You don't have to travel one day. You do the turnaround in between and all that. So, but if you're doing like we were doing cases, homicide cases and stuff, you really just need to work. Whatever you need to work. You might need to work at night. You might need to work at day. You didn't have to be tied down to a 4 and 2 chart like that. It didn't make sense.
Well, the only reason is because you want to work with the same team, so you want you guys to work with your same guys.
But
but if you can move your tour around, like to Mike just said, your whole team is going to do that tour.
No, because it's a whole catching order. And
No, I'm
Right.
saying if you were working as a team, not doing the 4 and 2.
Oh, right, yeah.
And your team was catching this,
Right,
going to help out in this case.
Okay.
Then
Yeah,
why not
alright.
start your tour whenever it's best to do the investigation?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was leeway. It wasn't strict, but it's just, then you know what? Even if nothing happened, you were tired on it,
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's face it, what are we doing at 1 o'clock? You got to be in 8 hours. If nothing's going on, what are you guys doing, You can watch cartoons for a couple hours and go to sleep. Guys are out banging around doing,
Right.
and the next day tour is shot because by the time you get your act together, you're just looking to get home.
Yeah.
So
It's funny. Civilians would ask you, when you stay over that long, does the police department feed you?
yeah,
they feed us.
yeah, there's plenty of M&Ms in the machine.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
No, we pay for our own food.
Nacho chips, right?
People don't like, because in the private sector, imagine you work there
know.
hours. They'd be like, "Oh, we got your room at the Waldorf, and
Right,
you can
yeah.
eat here." You know.
And the conditions in the precinct,
Oh,
you
good.
couldn't sleep. You have to sleep with one eye open. There's a lot of
I saw a
critters
video
running
the other
around
day.
and
Somebody posted it from a command from inside the precinct, and it was a rat this big running around.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing them all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when I worked in the warrant squad. Before you went in the lunchroom, you used to hit a bat against the wall 3 times, toot, 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 and then turn on the lights, flick them on and off, and you'd see all the rats. And then you go and you sleep on the
And
recliner.
that rat was a field associate too.
Kill the lights and sleep in that same recliner.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
Mike, one of the things that you had an amazing police career, anti-crime. Probably that's one of the best jobs for an active cop working anti-crime because you have so much freedom.
Yeah,
You're not working in the bag. But the thing is that we had a lot more leeway working anti-crime when you were on the job, when I was on the job. Right now, I would imagine with body cameras and with the whole stop, question, and frisk thing, things got to be much more limited than the freedom we had to do the job back then.
Oh yeah, I would say without a doubt. I mean,
What would you see as the biggest restraints they have on them now?
Well, I think the stop, question, and frisk thing is an issue, because I don't know what really changed. I mean, we were an anti-crime. You did stop, question, and frisk. You didn't call it stop, question, and frisk. It wasn't a numbers game.
Right.
Fill out a report. Oh, I need 10 UF 250s for the month or whatever. And just stop people at random. You stop people because of what the criminal procedure law said. Suspicion. Time of night. Type of. The
You could
person's articulate
You
why
had
it was stopping
reasonable
somebody.
suspicion, yeah.
Now, when on video, a video doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, watch a football game. Listen, the thing is, if you want it to be an incomplete pass, or you want it to be complete, you can watch
You
it
didn't
20
make a
times.
football move. I love that one.
They come up whatever. You can watch a video, watch it. You just don't get the full blast of it. So, and it was such a useful tool, and now it's got such a bad name attached to it.
Right.
I think why people would ask, why are you stopping him? Well, you can't explain it. We could explain it, but now it's on video, and I don't know. I don't think it would come off the same way.
Right. Right.
I think they're tied down to the camera, and they're playing to the camera, and they're worried about what happens when this guy says this and that, and the camera's not going to pick up the whole picture anyway.
No, it's not going to.
There'll be another version of it coming out shortly, and it won't be called Stop, Question, and Frisk. It'll be something just because it's necessary, because the crime spike. I hate being a pessimist. I was never that guy, but this bail reform bill in here in New York City, I have a feeling it's going to. I mean, they're doing the right thing. They're putting they're actually. I would imagine they're following these people that commit these crimes. Like the guy who got arrested 3 times, Khaled, and the third time was like a couple of hours right after the last one. Do you know what I'm talking about? The guy who punched the
He was
lady in
arrested
the
3
face.
times, and
Yeah.
I have a feeling like they're following these people. Like as soon as they wait for them to come out, and then they basically just follow them all day. Because where are they going to go? They're going to go back to their corner. They're going to go back to the where they frequent, and they're going to start doing what they do because they're crazy. They're going to commit another crime.
Well, I got an idea then. Why don't you give them people cameras and make them wear them all day?
That's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Why is a cop got to wear? What's the guy come from up top? He's just spent 8 years in Greenhaven. He's coming back out. Make him wear a camera.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So when he goes to his, when he goes out at night, where's he go and make sure he goes to see his parole officer and he's got a job and he's doing the right
now
thing,
that you mentioned that, I was watching Black Mirror, which is a show on Netflix, and the guy gets to the security desk and he gives his phone, and the guy just picks dates out of random. Give me January 10th, 2 p.m. So the guy goes back on his phone and he shows him where he was and what he was doing at that time. And then the guy goes, all right, give me January 8th, 8 p.m. And then the guy goes, and he and then the guy's just calling out what appears to be times at random, but they could have a case or something, and you're showing them the evidence right there because they're being, they have a camera on them all the time.
Right. And these guys are going to second guess themselves, like you said with the anti-crime thing. They'd be second. Oh, can I stop this guy? Can I stop?
Right.
Oh, the guy you pull over a cab. The guy does the dip in the back seat. It's not going to be on camera. Can I yank the guy out? Should I yank the guy
Everybody's
out?
gonna.
What's going to be? Why are you pulling the guy out of the car? Well, he did the dip. He did. He made a further movement.
And
to
you
the
might
floor.
not see that on the camera.
No, and then they're going to be worried about And you know what? A lot of guys will just say, "Hey, listen, why?"
Why am I getting involved?
What's
in
the
anything?
dip? Can you explain that to our audience? The dip.
Well, when you're doing, let's say, a car stop, and
Just put 'em.
all right, I got it. You're doing a car stop, and the car actually stops. You get out of the car, and somebody in the car, bends over. And usually hide, either product or
a gun.
a gun.
So they're dipping down to hide.
So we call it the dip, or I guess the technical term is a furtive movement.
Right,
but
furtive.
The guy will be sitting in the
That's an
back of a
academy
cab,
word.
his head's going like this, and then he bends down and sticks something under the seat, and then that's how it goes.
I feared for my safety at that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that was it. You got yanked out, and you searched the car, and out came the gun, and away you went.
Well, with the bail reform too, certain crimes they're calling non-violent, which they're calling robbery third and robbery second, aided by another non-violent crime.
Yeah.
Robbery was the barometer crime that made, if you had a lot of robberies in your precinct, that was a violent precinct.
Right.
That was what determined the violence. Now these Albany legislators are considering robbery not a violent crime. Doesn't it say forcibly stealing someone's property? Isn't that what the definition of robbery is?
Robbery, I always felt robbery is like the minor leagues for, if you're out robbing somebody as a young kid, you're just going to graduate to more violent stuff. It's not like, so I mean, I don't know, I guess, look at it from the person that's being robbed, well, what's their feeling about it, I mean, nobody really cares about the victims and all that stuff.
Do you think that it's a barometer for fear for my safety?
What, as far as the...
Well, they're talking about the reasonable man standard. They're trying to make the reason, about reasonableness? They're trying to say cops, what's reasonable for them to fear for their life?
Yeah,
How can they legislate that? What scares you? Is what scares you going to be the same thing that scares some legislator in Albany who saved...
A waitress bringing me a check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying
When
that
I heard the
trying
place
to,
was good.
They're trying to define the reasonable man standard of what makes a cop fear for his life.
Well, they don't live in the world. They don't live in the real world. That's the problem. They don't live not only in the cops' world, but what about the decent people that live in the neighborhood? All this nonsense you see on TV, you never see. You hear maybe, Pat Lynch will get out and talk, or Eddie or something. I get it, and that's good. But you never see any decent, hardworking person from any of these neighborhoods say, hey, you know what? I lived here. Back in the 80s, I grew up, where I slept when I was a kid? In a bathtub or in a dresser drawer.
Right.
And everybody fought for the first floor. Not for anything higher than the first floor, because bullets were flying through the first floor all the time.
Yep.
And then you never talked to that guy. You never talked to the guy that had, would come home from work and be literally shaking or scared to walk down his own block at night. And you're gonna, what, with all this reform and stuff, they're just going about it the wrong way.
Yep.
And it's dangerous. I mean, not only that, look what they do to victims now. You used to get locked up if you went to the 124 room and gave a perp out the victim's information. You get locked up.
Right.
As a cop or a PAA, giving somebody a 61 with the. Now it's like they get it.
Well, Mike, what you're describing is something called discovery.
Yes.
And now they're going to have to give law enforcement, the DA's office, has to give the complainant's name, address, phone number, everything to the perp's attorney.
Yes.
And to actually, I mean, this is even more outrageous. Say in a home invasion, they have to let the perp's attorney, an investigator, go view the crime scene.
All right, so what is it? It's witness intimidation.
Oh,
without
yeah.
pulling a gun out
Absolutely.
on somebody and screwing it in their ear.
Well, you know what?
saying,
This is a
"That's the
temporary
fun you
thing right
done."
now because this is just everything is a preparation for the November election, and then once all these people that are out that they can go vote. Because their goal is to also turn that over prior to the investigation. It's all about votes. As soon as the election's over, they're going to want all these people back. The reform's they're going to figure out a way to abolish it, put them back in. No more bail reform. Go back to the way it used to be. We don't need them for another couple more years.
Right, but how many innocent people have
They
to
don't
suffer in the
care.
meantime?
They obviously don't care.
Which is, that's disturbing, too.
They don't
They
care.
don't care
No, I
about
mean,
the victims.
And they're not going to be the victims.
got-
The people signing this bill, and
You
signing
have
on
to.
the dotted
They have
line,
to have the
you know.
votes, man. You can't. It doesn't matter. Everything else is second. Lives will be lost, but they have to regain the power.
Right.
The power that's been,
That old expression, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's true because
Or the,
they-
tooth-
Yeah,
or
I
the
don't buy
toothpaste
that.
back in the tube.
You could bring back 250. You could bring back AntiCrime or street crime. Give it a different name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
I mean,
it's sort of like, you feel like, High Noon, right?
Yeah.
It's,
best Western ever. Go ahead.
it's like you feel like Gary Cooper, the bad guys are coming out. Now the people are turning towards the bad guys and the sheriff's left, hung out to dry, It's just like
Right.
sort of the same thing like now. Like, oh, they weren't that bad. They're coming back to town. Don't worry about it,
I'm telling you, man. Once November passes, they're gonna figure out. Okay, maybe we did go a little bit too far. They're gonna cut back a little bit before you know it. Everything, especially, you don't want to be the guy with the spike in crime. And obviously, De Blasio doesn't care. He's on his last term. It's going to be the next guy that's going to come in, and his whole platform is going to be the reduction of crime, getting back. Let's make New York safe again. Right. And that's the person who's going to win. It always goes
look
like
what
that.
happened, though. I mean,
though.
At the 80s, the early 90s, the city got so bad that they had to vote in a Republican, for God's sakes.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to clean it
that's
up.
how bad things got.
And
after
then things
the crack
got so
wars and all.
good that we don't
They
need
forgot
them anymore.
about it, and then they went back, and then
all these people that were getting locked up and constantly going through the system, those are all potential voters. We can't have them going through the system on the day. They have to be out Tuesday, November 16th. They have to be out. Any other day they can be in, but we have to make sure. How do we make sure that? Well, they can't spend too much time in jail. Cut the bail out. Let them get out because we need them out that day to vote.
No, well,
there's a politician who's the Speaker of the House in New York City, and he went to John Jay and apologized for the crime program that the NYPD had over the last 20 years. Who was he to apologize? First of all, he had nothing to do with it. Shut up. You have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but,
I wish somebody would just say thank you and leave it at that.
yes,
or say
thank
nothing.
the police because there's 2,000 less murder victims every year, right?
Yeah.
There's
And now you're gonna go to-
and you're gonna apologize, dude. You're a politician. Take a walk.
Imagine spending season tickets for the Mets, and then all of a sudden the two people that sit next to you are felons. They just got tickets for returning on their warrant.
It's unbelievable. You almost can't believe.
I mean, think of it. I never even thought
No,
about
it's
that before,
really-
but that's what's going to happen. You're going to be sitting at a game where you bought season tickets for you and your kids, and you're going to be sitting next to rapists and murderers and robbers, and how do they get their tickets? Well, De Blasio gave them to them. It was part of returning to
Bail
court.
reform.
I can't even carry my gun in the stadium when I go.
That's true.
Oh, what a mess! What a freaking mess!
No, it's going to come to a head, and they're going to have to reverse what
I'm
they
telling
did.
you,
they-
November 17th.
Well, they also, they throw the other thing out. Well, these are nonviolent offenders. Listen, if you're in jail, you have to be bad.
Yeah.
You don't just, you have to work at it.
Especially
It has to
in
be
New
a
York City.
career.
Yeah.
It has to be like years and years of putting time and effort into going to jail.
Right.
You don't just like steal an apple from the fruit stand and go to jail for, 10 years.
Well, look at it.
You know?
It's you got one side that is filling up planes as quick as they can and deporting these people as quick as they can. So the only place we can replace these votes is we might as well just let them out of jail. We might as well just let them out of prison because there's planes leaving. You don't even know. Every hour on the hour, man. They're sending people back to wherever the fuck they came. You know what I'm saying? You're not here legally. You committed a felony. You're gone. And they know all these votes are leaving. Yeah. So how do we got to figure out a way to get these votes back? Well, they're all in prison. Bring them out. Who cares? You know what I'm saying?
But it's the whole thing too. There's a war in this country on law enforcement.
Yeah.
And there's one whole group of people that are anti-law enforcement.
No, that's you see the sentiment change like that. I mean, listen, not everybody loves the police. I don't even love the police sometimes. You know what I mean? Sure. But now you really see,
it's an anti-police sentiment throughout the country, not just New York. Look at California, San Francisco. I mean, how are they letting that whole area become like a slum, like by letting people live on the sidewalks?
And a beautiful place, too.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot of people bailing out of California, too. And the states that they're moving to, the big question is how many of these people are moving to certain states, and will the numbers in that state change? So if it's a state, like it's in the balance, it's borderline. You don't know which... It could swing.
Blue state, yeah.
It could swing with a couple extra 100,000 more votes. So now all of a sudden it's a red state. Now it's a blue state, and everybody's bailing out because they're coming here from California or all these other big cities and flooding these states that were normally or on the board of being red state. No. That's who's going to go there though? It's going to be the Wild West again.
Yeah,
because
we always call it the Brian Watkins moment in New York City when
you can have a collapse
Utah tourist was killed, and then
right.
that the city had enough of crime. That was it.
Yeah,
that was
and unfortunately, that's what it takes: a big publicized case, and some poor person has to pay the price.
They just had the girl from Columbia University got murdered on 112.
You might, I'd say, in about 5 years, you might be able to get a nice sprawling mansion in Los Angeles, in the hills, maybe for about $1 million, and turn around and sell it for 15, 20 million in 5 years 10 years when they decide they're going to pull the whole state back together again and give the homeless people a place to live and get them off the streets. I mean, some of these places
sounds great.
Oh, look, I grew up in Nassau County, and Mike lives in Nassau County now. And perps back in the day used to say, "Oh shit, I can't get arrested in Nassau," because it was like a different world. They were like, "Dave, don't fuck around in Nassau. They'll send you away forever for a robbery." Right? I don't know if it's like that now. It's probably not.
Yeah, no. It probably changed a little bit, but it's still sort of. I mean, look at Nassau County compared to the city, and it's so close. And the crime is nothing like it is in Queens and Brooklyn. Right. And it's not that way in a lot of cities around the country. A lot of the surrounding smaller towns or suburbs are worse than the inner city itself.
Sure.
But Nassau has kept it like that because they actually put people in jail when you do something.
Well, because you got homeowners.
But the real estate value the real estate prices over there throughout Nassau and Suffolk County, especially Nassau, are very, very high. Taxes for your real estate property, very, very high. So you have to have a certain amount of money to live there, which obviously people have bad kids. But for the most part, you have people from outside, from people that live in Queens or people coming in from other places to do their burglaries in Nassau County. Right. You know what I'm saying? And trying to get out as quick as possible. And they learn the hard way when they get caught. But it's not like you have that much crime going on with people that live there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, but
there are pockets, but it's not
the only way you can prevent people from coming there and doing that stuff is when they get caught, because everything is speculation. The word gets out. It's the same thing we talked about earlier with the Glocks. Everybody thought, they got Glocks, and now they had to actually stop running or not fight with you anymore because they were afraid of getting shot. The laws never changed between, the use of deadly force, but the fact that guys had 9mm, it put a message out. People were like, "Oh man, I better watch out."
Right. Wait till they get the robots. They're gonna wish we had human cops again. Let me tell you, there's not gonna be any arguing, no debates with a robot. They're gonna be nice as pie.
The drones.
While you're trying to get out of that bolo. The bolo is the rope that they shoot at you. Oh, yeah. And all of a sudden it's got your legs, your arms wrapped up like this.
I thought we were supposed to do a demonstration with that on you.
I want to do it. But when the robots are going to be shooting bolos at you, they're going to be shooting lasers at you. There's going to be no more excuses. You're going to be caught on tape and you're going to go away. You're going to wish for regular. You can't bribe a robot.
No.
You can't give a robot drugs, give sex to look the other way. Nothing, man. Those robots.
If anything, you gotta watch out for the hackers. They may try to hack.
That's true.
Yeah, there were always gonna be a couple hackers. But the funniest thing is, I was shopping and I saw like a robot in the aisle. And I was like, "What the hell is this robot?" Like, I thought it might be security. So and like it was, it's like took a picture of it. It's pretty tall. It's got a base to it. And I'm like, does this robot think I'm stealing? And then all of a sudden, this black dude comes walking from the other end. The robot just took off and started following him. I was like, thank God. My point is that even in the future, folks,
the robots
will be
racist.
They're being programmed to be racist right now. No, but seriously, man, actually, I think what the thing does is wash the floor. That's what I did. Cleans the floor. But
there goes the job.
Yo, go in the Stop and Shop on in the Bronx, right there by my gym. I forget what avenue that is.
They get robots there too.
West. That's that's where I see it all the time, and I'm not the only. Go to the airport. They got the robots there too. You know what I'm talking. You ever see the robots at the airport?
Not me.
Yeah, I saw the walking ones online where they you could push them and they'll get up. They're like humans.
Wow.
Yeah, we got it. Listen, but law enforcement, there's gonna be somebody in charge of these robots, but for the most part, homicide investigations, man.
It's almost that way now. I mean, with everything going on, it's.
But the technology, Mike, helps us a lot. With the, even the cops you talking about with the phones, they get all the programs on the phone. If there's a wanted purpose picture, you get it right on your phone when you're out in the street.
Yeah, no, I mean that there are benefits to it.
Let me tell you something.
You
You pray that you live long enough to cash in on the money where they download your brain, all the stuff, the cases that you have in your brain, when you can download it into a database for the robots, so they know about homicide investigations. Because that's what's going to happen. All the stuff that you have in your brain, all these homicide cases that you worked, your interrogation techniques, and all that stuff, they're going to be able to download it, and they're going to use it. You're going to use it for data to help build the perfect homicide detective robot. So.
Yeah, maybe,
I hope that you get a chance to cash in.
I hope he's a good-looking guy.
The Mike Hinrichs robot.
If you get, let me tell you something. If you get,
we want to cut down.
I don't want a short, fat one. I want I want a big, strapping dude. A good-looking guy. Then.
If you want the robot that's going to eat the clock, man, that's the Mark DeMeo detective that shows up. he's gonna look the shit can and close your case.
Yeah, all the personalities taken out of the cases now. Anyway, it's follow the dots. It's
well, that was the whole thing.
Checklist,
the 12-step checklist.
Yeah.
Do you do consultant work? Hey? What do you do with all this brain? But now you retire. How many years you retired?
I've been out. I was out 5 in August.
Okay, yeah, I've been out 7. How many years did you do in total?
I did 30.
Oh, that's great.
But
all this stuff that you have in your brain, all this knowledge that you have from all these homicide cases that you have, the interrogation techniques, and all these things that the puzzle solving things that all that stuff. What do you do with it now? Can somebody hire you? Are you a private investigator?
No, I sort of stepped away from it. I just what happened was, I had massive stroke. I almost dropped.
Oh, really?
Dead. Yeah. That happened towards the end of my career. When you're lying in the ICU in the hospital and you don't know whether you're going to live or die,
I don't see any results of it. I mean,
well,
the speech is fine.
Yeah, I'm good enough. I'm all right.
The headphones won't stay on your head, but I don't know if that's from the stroke.
Yeah, no,
I think it's just got a flat head.
Yeah. I don't know. You tell me. But so I had, like I said, you have a lot of time to reflect and look at things, and you say, you know what, it's out of my system.
Tell us about this. When did they come about, the stroke? How did you feel it? How much? When was this? How long ago was this?
This was in 2013. The end of 2013.
Were you at work?
No, I'd worked all night, and I was getting ready for work to go in. And
do you think the doctors say that it was a result of all the years of, like Bill mentioned earlier, non-sleep?
Yeah, I mean, it all came
sleep
into
deprivation?
Play. No sleep, stress, high blood pressure, high cholesterol,
Were you a
bad
smoker?
diet. No.
Drinker? Oh yeah, you
Occasion.
mentioned you didn't imbibe at all.
Well,
You church and
Church.
church and work, right?
Church and softball practice.
Church and work, right?
yeah, no, I drank
Occasionally.
occasionally,
Yeah.
right.
1 or 2 a week. That's what I put down when I go to the doctors. Yeah.
Social
drink.
Hey, doctor, if you tell a doctor you have 6 drinks a week, they want you to go to AA. It's ridiculous.
I'm a social. What do you do for work? I socialize. So you were home, getting
was
ready
home.
to go to work, and what
Yeah.
happened?
My head just started spinning, and I got tremendous headache. And
Out of nowhere.
and down I went. Yeah,
Out of nowhere.
yeah.
1 minute you were good, 1 second you were good,
Yeah.
and the next second
Yeah.
you started having this headache.
You
Right,
got rushed to the hospital?
Did you have
by
a
ambulance
tightness?
or what?
No, nobody was home. I laid there for quite a while,
shit.
actually. Which
What's
was,
that? An hour? 2 hours?
No, I would say 45 minutes.
Wow.
That's
Was
bad,
it
though,
because
right?
you couldn't move or because you were scared to
I
move?
couldn't move. I couldn't get up. I was actually, but I was like conscious. I could realize something was wrong. It wasn't like I was out.
You had that
You know?
stupid flip phone, too.
No, I don't think I even had that.
You didn't
Then. I
have
think I
the
might have been on the
phone?
beeper back then. I don't know.
Remember those fucking beepers?
No Alexa. You could have shouted out earlier. Alexa, I got to go. Nothing. No Alexa, man.
Yeah. So
shit.
So anyhow, I got
How'd you
taken.
call for help?
My wife came home, and then my son actually was doing 2-a-days football practice. Came home and found me.
Oh, shit.
Called
Where were you? In the
911.
living room?
I was my upstairs in the
You
bathroom.
bleeding?
No,
No.
no. But it was it was.
Was it an intracranial bleed? What kind of stroke was it?
What kind
Yeah.
of stroke was it?
Was a bleed?
It was a bleed in the brain.
Oh, okay.
With blocked arteries and stuff. So
So your son finds you first or your wife?
my wife and then my son was coming home, and
You must have been in shock.
yeah, no, it was rough. I mean, and then like I said, the worst thing in the whole ordeal. I mean, I was like, everybody's telling you, "Oh, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right," and I'm like, that's what I've been telling people that I knew were gonna die any day. And
How many people I told that
so
to?
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
don't
I mean, how
bullshit
many
me.
people
I'm like,
did you tell it to when you were on the job?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah.
know, and so I'm like, I guess everybody's getting back at me now, but I had a great doctor and some therapy, and I got back on my feet, went back to work. Actually, I didn't have to, but it's something like I got to do, I went back limited, and then I had a little over 30 years, and I figured that was enough. And they surveyed me out, so I got 3/4, and that's it. So I don't work. I do volunteer stuff. I do Papa.
That's great.
That's
do
good.
Papa and that stuff.
We
so.
talked about that a couple of times here. I know it's all
Papa.
secret stuff, but that's great.
Yeah, no, it's good, and you know what? It's a good program. And
Could you tell our audience what PAPA actually stands for?
PAPA stands for Police Officers Providing Peer Assistance. Basically, we're trained volunteers that work either. There's 2 phases of it. One's a hotline where if somebody has some personal issues, whether family issues or addiction of some sort, they would call a hotline. We would meet with the person. We don't do any real counseling. It's more of a cop-on-cop thing where we convince a guy, hey, listen, you need some help. You can get help. The resources are great. What they can do for guys on the job now is really, really special. I mean, when we were on the job, you'd be banished.
Yeah, they take your
you'd be in a
guns
White
and it's
Stone
over.
Pound in
Was
the
this a
tower,
busy year this past year?
Yeah. There were a lot of police suicides and a
12,
lot of
I think they said, right? 12.
I'm
I
not
mean, in
sure.
2019, there was 12 suicides.
Yeah, and then you have a lot of retired guys too, and you have.
What
ones that,
is the biggest problem for retired guys? Is it PTSD?
It's a lot of it from what I've found in my experience is separation from the job.
Separation anxiety.
Yeah, like you're not a cop anymore, and a lot of guys didn't leave under their own accord for whatever reason. Maybe they got hurt, they were young and they got hurt, or and a lot of guys miss that camaraderie and
It's
the
the
job,
camaraderie, yeah.
and
The BS, the
And-
back and forth.
and if they don't have anything else, it's sad. Some guys don't have
Even a
loving
family or
families
something, right,
surrounding them. They're on their own, and you can only run around as as a bachelor for so long. Then you're getting older, and you got nobody.
Yeah.
And
I remember
guys-
when I retired, I walked to whatever it was, Broadway, and I just walked back to Bleecker Street in the Village, and just thinking, because I had no gun, no shield,
Yeah.
and it was such an empty feeling,
It is,
But I
yeah.
still had my department phone, and I called for a ride, and
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, that was my last police thing I did, Yeah, this is civilian cannon. could you pick me up
Mr.
at
Cannon.
Bleecker and 7th Avenue? It was really an empty feeling.
It really is non-climactic.
Well, when the
too.
guys say who?
Who? We ain't fucking picking
I'm
you
a-
up. You're not a sergeant
Anybody
anymore.
know a guy named Cannon? The guy that said he used to work here? Everybody's like, no, that's it.
Fuck
An hour ago, this guy retired an hour ago.
He busted my balls the last 10 years.
You think
that
it's going
old
to be a huge ceremony when we retire, and there's going to be bagpipes and
Yeah.
people with the cars in front. You get there, they take your shield. They
This
toss
is
it
all
in
we
the
have
thing.
left, these 2 cars.
Actually, I got lucky, though. A bunch of my buddies threw me a really good retirement party.
That's
We
nice.
had it out in Rockaway. We had a few hundred guys there, and it was really special, And
That's fantastic.
once, and it was really great. And
Were there pictures of all your shooting victims on the walls?
no, people frown upon that stuff,
Did you
But,
miss the job or what?
the same old story. I mean, I missed the, I don't miss the, the circus. I miss the clowns.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I do miss the job. I had nothing against my time in the bureau, but I miss the patrol. If I could suit up, my son's on the job now.
Anti-crime is the best job.
If I could stand a roll call with the guys I ran with back in the day, I'd go out there tomorrow. I really miss the
action,
guys, the
the
action,
adrenaline,
putting the
yeah.
uniform on, going out there and doing police work.
Yeah, there's
It's,
something about that time in the uniform. I remember
Yeah.
always wanting to get out of the bag, always trying to get into an investigative
Yeah.
unit because I didn't want to be in the uniform. And then in hindsight, you realize, man, that was the best time,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I did 10 years on patrol, so I
I did 7. I was in
had
the
time,
task
and,
force.
and a lot of those years were dog years, on the 6, 7, and that with everything going on. So
You got it out. You did a lot of it.
That was
Yeah.
a rocking place, the 6.
It was really. I mean, we used to do 50, 60 homicides a year, and like I said, 3,000 robberies, hundreds of shootings, guns everywhere, and plus just the regular police work of running around handling jobs, 911 calls. A lot of heavy stuff went on there.
They were saying in Brooklyn the shootings didn't even count. There were so many of them.
Yeah, no, the whole thing, heard a ping, felt the sting, ain't no big thing. Okay, what's your name? John Brown, where do you live over there? Okay, have a nice day. Who did it? I don't know, okay, and that was it.
I'll take care of it myself.
Yes.
That's the other thing. Right?
Yeah, but, now it's, the shootings are big cases.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but...
Well, my friend got robbed the other couple months ago, and they brought the helicopters out for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean she's an attractive girl, but that's not the
Well,
reason
that
why.
helps. That helps.
No, I think they're really trying to contain it, knowing what use as much manpower for these robberies, and at some point it's going to be like you mentioned that saying before. It's going to be too much. It's going to the weight will fall in on itself.
Oh,
what you
it's
say?
collapse under its own weight.
Yeah, it's going to collapse under. You can't bring helicopters out for a robbery. I don't care whether there's a gun involved. At some point there's going to be so many robberies, and they're catching up. They're
Well,
coming
there
back.
was some genius chief said, for every shooting or every robbery, let's have a level 1 mobilization.
Yeah.
Let's invite everyone to this party,
Yeah.
Listen, I understand. Like, listen, I'm not trying to say some cases count and some don't, but you have to really look at, if some guy who's a gangbanger gets shot in the toe, and he's telling me to go fuck myself, every time I ask him a question,
right.
why are we rolling out helicopters? And then you want me to what? Go up on the 3rd floor and grab some woman that works for a living who saw the shooting and show her photo array?
Right, destroy her life.
When this guy's going to turn around and say, I don't know anybody, or he looks at a lineup or photo, I didn't see nothing, and we're going to drag a decent... This is what the job wanted. It turned into that. I wouldn't do it. I'll be honest with you.
Well, their position was that if you didn't treat every shooting the same, the retaliation factor would lead
Well,
to
you were
another shooting.
fortunate because by that time you were in the Homicide Squad,
Yes.
so you didn't
Yes.
have to do all the nonsense that what became.
No, I did
minutia.
skirt a lot of that, yeah.
Like for example, cell phones were being stolen at an incredible rate, and they wanted you to go through the phone records
Yeah.
and to see the last calls that were made, and then go knock on their doors. So now you're out there knocking. Hey, did you call anybody from this? No. Okay, that's it. But how many calls am I going back that day? 15, 20 locations I have to go visit to satisfy this
No, and then,
nonsense. It's a stolen cell phone, man.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, the big
but-
thing was, too, they were abusing the cell phone carriers.
Right.
When you wanted a phone dumped for a homicide case, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
When the police department's asking to dump the phone for a grand larceny, the carrier's going to be like, get the fuck
No,
out of here.
this
We don't have
God
time for
knows
that
how many
shit.
subpoenas that are
Right,
floating
exactly.
around
And
like
the
that. You know?
subpoenas are like we said, it's
Well, they had to
to
open up their own hire personnel just to
Yeah.
deal with.
Well, again,
these
it
law
was
enforcement.
part of the checklist just to say you did it and got it. It didn't matter that nobody would get arrested for
Right,
any of
right.
this stuff. You know what? You got to look at cases differently. When I first got into the squad, when I was in RIP, if some kid came in with his parents that got his bike stolen, he got the full court press.
Right.
Here's a good kid with a good family. You don't just fluff the guy. It's nonsense. It's a bike. A kid lost his bike. No, the kid got robbed, and we're going to find out.
Right.
I don't care if we got to go out and chip in and tell the kid we found his bike and buy him a new one. We're gonna get to the bottom of it.
Right.
If some drug dealer comes in and says, "Oh, somebody stole my stash," okay, whatever.
Yeah,
But you can't look at it the same way. You just
Discretion.
Yeah.
Discretion. What do you think the reform is? The result of this bail reform is going to be, Mike?
I don't know. I mean, listen. When I was locking people up, they were leaving just as fast. They didn't call it bail reform; they called it overcrowding or whatever, or the system was just overwhelmed. I just think that now that it's so public, everybody's talking about it, that it just sends a bad message to people, knowing that pretty much no matter what they do, they're gonna not have to go.
They're going to get
They're
released.
gonna get released.
Yeah.
And then somehow or another, over time, cases fall apart. Other witnesses move away. People aren't as pissed off as they were when it immediately happened, or they feel nervous or threatened. And, it's really, it may take a while. If it doesn't change, it'll take a little while, but you're going to see things. He's already seeing it a little bit now with some of the recent cases that have popped up. People are empowered with being able to do everything from, dump a pail of water over a cop, or go out and rob somebody and walk down the street and give the victim the finger the next day.
Well, you mentioned that you have a son on the job. Is he still in? He's on patrol.
Yeah, no, he's young. He's got less than a year on.
All right. So do you worry about him?
Oh yeah, I worry about him.
But for different reasons than your mom and pop or your wife worried about you.
You think so?
Probably
I think it's the
different
same.
reasons.
I think the parents
Well, I think that
worries regardless.
I know my wife worries a lot more about my son than she did about me.
Of course.
I'm not sure
talking
why.
about your relationship, though.
I'm not sure why that.
I used to say that to my wife. You never worried about me, did you?
Yeah. Well, you always, I have another son. I have two sons. I worry about them about everything.
Right.
But now with in regards to police work, you worry about them.
Whenever cops would come to the door, my wife would always be crying for like, please tell me, did they take him? I'm kidding.
Yeah, so I worry about him job wise. I mean, not you don't want to get jammed, but doing the right. There's nothing worse than getting jammed for doing the right thing. That's the way I look at it.
I got kids old enough to be on the job, so does Bill, and I'm happy that that they chose another path.
Yeah,
At least
my
they
other
did
son did too,
so
but,
far right now.
Yeah.
Just because
They all became bounty hunters.
Forget about the regular amount of
became
danger.
criminals.
See, here's the thing: you can almost say a regular amount of danger, like as just the way the job we knew it. There's an inherent amount of danger that comes with this job, but now that you add on top of it that somebody's actually treating you like a piece of shit when you're doing it constantly, depending on where you work, with the dousing of the water, or who knows what other stupid stunt it's going to will go viral that some asshole's going to come up with, or just the way they talk to you, belligerent, trying to get a cup of coffee, they write pig on the cup, even though that story didn't turn out to be true, which brings up another point. Who does that? What the fuck is wrong with that guy?
I don't know.
But you know what I'm talking about? It's like so many other intangibles now, besides the inherent danger that you're accepting to take the job, that's why I wouldn't want my kids on there.
Well, you know what? Back when we were out there, that stuff wouldn't happen. I mean, somebody might, like anything else, somebody might try to kill you, shoot at you.
Yeah.
And back then we lost a lot of cops, getting shot, stabbed, airmail off the roofs.
Right.
And plus you throw in strokes, heart attacks, and everything else. Guys died from working like that for all, But
we used to say when we first came on the job, the cops were so unhealthy. They would retire and die 5 years later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I know. But you know what?
Smoking, drinking, they were all overweight.
What would happen if that was me or you? Somebody in the 6'7" took a bucket of water and poured it over.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
Wouldn't happen.
But also, you don't have the bosses like Chief Anamone that would go, mobilize the entire department and get revenge for what just happened.
Yeah, no.
The bosses now have the balls of an amoeba.
Well,
you know?
no, they don't. And the other thing is, though, the people wouldn't do stuff like that. You know, some criminal on the street would take his lumps.
Right.
You know, I mean, he knew.
What'd you call that?
You know,
What'd you call it? That would be a Brooklyn party hat, right?
yeah, the old turban. You know,
Turbanized.
Hey,
The wood shampoo.
But you know,
we're reaching the end here. 2 hours have flown by.
I don't want, man. Let's do another hour, man. Let's do.
I want to ask you a question though. How you feeling now? Everything's okay? You go for checkups every year? And
yeah,
stuff like that?
I'm going in a couple of weeks for another brain scan. You know, see how I'm doing.
To see if you still have a brain.
So, yeah. Let's see if it's still there and it's, you know,
Still functioning.
I pray that. But this is 7 years now, right?
It'll be 7 years this year. Yeah, so I should be all right. You know,
All right, that's great. That's great.
So I don't know.
Wow, we covered a lot of stuff, man. Two medals of valor.
2 combat crosses.
How many EPDs? That's important.
About 150 or so.
Any of those EPDs for cats out of trees or anything like that?
No, actually, you know, well, I mean, I can't complain. I did.
The 6-9 days, right? You must have taken a couple of cats out when he first came on.
No, actually, I did make a decent collar or two over there. When I was, like I said, I worked with a great guy, an old timer and stuff like that hooked me up and that. But yeah, you know what? It wasn't really. I mean, you know, you got medals, but you didn't always get medals. You know, we made a lot of. I mean, we really took a lot of gun collars off. A lot of guns off the street, and that was one thing they brought up at the academy. At the retirement party. You know, amount of guns and stuff went on. Actually, Bernie Carrick, the commissioner came, and it was, you know.
Whatever became of your 6-shooter? Where is that thing?
It's in the museum somewhere.
It's in the Smithsonian.
No, I have it at home. I don't carry it anymore. You know, I have
next to Wild Bill Cody's 6-shooter.
Does it call you from the safe sometimes? Come on, let's go out.
Let's go out.
Let's go out and make a collar.
Let's go back to the 6-7.
one more time.
You ever stand in front of the mirror with the holster still on, spinning it around?
Go ahead,
No, I can never.
Go
do
ahead,
that.
punk.
Make my day.
I saw a guy do that in the lounge at the precinct one day, and unfortunately, a round went off and went upstairs, and we didn't think much of it till one of the chiefs from the borough came down holding around in his desk.
Shit.
He said, just pulled this out of my desk. What the hell's going on down there? So that was kind of like, all right, you know.
Did he just let it go, or did he?
No, it was the whole thing, Geo 15, but the good old Geo 15. You know, like, excuse me, what day was that again?
Yeah.
Oh, I bent over to tie my shoe. I heard a loud noise, but I thought it was the TV. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, that was, you know.
That was like a detective pad involved. Took lead.
Yeah.
His desk took some
If
lead.
it hit your desk, it's not like it hit you in the leg or something like that. What are you all worked up over?
Now forget it, man.
Well, man, is there anything you want to part with, Mike? Anything you want to say to our audience before you go?
No, I listen. Thanks for having me. It was great. You know.
We only have the
good.
best of the best on the show.
Yes.
The best.
Well, thank you.
Now you know, like yesterday, they inducted 2 coaches, Jimmy Johnson and into the Hall of Fame. Now you are officially in the NYPD Hall of Fame.
You made it right
You went
now.
on police off
Finally,
the
we got out of Manhattan North, and we found somebody from Brooklyn.
That's right.
Yeah.
You would think he'd be crying. We just told him he's in the Hall of Fame. There's no tears coming down.
Jimmy Johnson broke down.
He broke
pretty
down,
good.
man. I thought he'd break
Yeah.
down at least, you know.
Well, that's just while the camera's rolling. Once we get it, everybody changes when the camera's off.
That's right, man. He
humbles
might start
out.
crying as he's leaving. You don't want to go back to Merrick.
No, it's boring there.
This was fun, man. We got out of Manhattan North. No offense to Manhattan North. I think we covered it. We got into Brooklyn South, and we got a great first grade detective, 2 medals of valor, 2 medals of honor, 150 EPDs.
Combat
shootings,
cross, not medals. If
shootings.
he had 2 medals of honor, he'd be dead.
Yes.
Twice. He'd be dead twice.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All right. Combat cross. I keep messing that up. I never got a medal in my whole 20 years. But if you go inside his house, he's got the heads of all the perps that he killed.
it's on the wall like the Chiefs. You know,
You know how
like
you
the
hunt deer? He's got perp heads. It's Brooklyn South perp heads mounted all over the place. A couple from upstate. Man, it was a pleasure to have you here, Mike, man.
Pleasure to meet you guys.
You know, Mike, it was great. As I
you.
said, I first became aware of you when I watched that show NYPD 24/7 with a great case, that great homicide case.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really privilege to meet you, and
No, thank you.
you
It was
definitely
great to
are a
meet you.
Hall of Famer.
Oh, thanks.
And you know,
Appreciate
if you want to start crying now that we inducted
All
you
right,
into
I'll
the,
break down. Once you turn it off, I'll break down.
and I think it's great that you're working and volunteering for Papa. That's fantastic.
Yeah, actually, it is a good thing. Anybody that's listening, if you need help, get it. It's listen. If it was bullshit or it was a jerk job, I wouldn't be there. And it really helps. There's a lot of things, a lot of things out there that can get people the help, and really look into it. God forbid you have some issues, get some help.
That's
it's out
great,
there.
Mike.
And there's guys like me there, guys like us that'll look out for you.
People now are just going to say, "Is this Mike Hinrichs? Tell me about those 6 shootings."
Well, we didn't even scratch the surface. We're gonna have to have you back, man. Cover all
I'll
the
come
other
back.
shootings.
Whatever you want.
This is great, man. So continue. God bless your health, and may God watch over your son who's on patrol,
Right.
and all the members of
Yes.
the NYPD,
Everybody
and all law
out there, stay
enforcement
safe.
throughout the country. On behalf of Bill, myself, Pam, Rashad, thanks for tuning in, man. Peace out. End the tour.
Thank you.